Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Grafton School Committee meeting, April 9th, 2019. Open the meeting at 7 p.m. First up, I don't have a chairperson's update today, but I will go right into comments from the public. Anyone from the community wish to address the school committee? No? Okay. We're going to skip over education reports, and tonight we have the privilege of having the North Street Elementary School administration here to give us an update on the school improvement plan and update and school report. Steve, Jody.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having us. And we always look forward to coming and bringing a few students with us, of course, and sharing a little snippet of how our year is going and what we have planned ahead. I've tried really hard this year to make sure I'm very succinct in sharing an update. Jody, anything you want to add before we start?
No, we are ready to go.
All right, excellent. So really the message or the theme, I think, of this year for North Street, it really goes back a couple of years to when we started really looking at social-emotional learning at North Street and changing a lot of how we do things and what we're doing, but really why we're doing it. And we know social-emotional learning is really important in all that we do. So you're going to hear a lot about social-emotional learning today and how that looks and feels at North Street. And it really is based off of our core values. And we, back in 2016 and 17, made our core values, which spells out STARS. You can see them at the bottom of the screen right here. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in a moment, but really the message they are, the idea of that everything that we do walks the walk. So when we're making decisions, we're thinking of how do those core values fit in, where do they fit in, is there ways we can build them into what we do and build off of that. You can see our mascot even there is a star. But kind of the concept of building off of that SEL, love this quote, it's one of my favorite ones that we've uncovered this year, is that SEL isn't on the plate. It's not one more thing that we're doing. It is the plate, and everything else is on top of it. That if you don't have that foundational support for social-emotional learning, kids are not going to be as ready to learn. They're not going to be in a state of optimal learning, if you will. So if they're feeling anxious, if they're feeling worried, if there's issues going on, they're not going to be able to achieve as much. So we really believe strongly in that. All the way back from the beginning of the year, that picture on the left comes from actually a PLC that Tracy ran over the summer, Teach Like a Pirate. It was an activity that was in there where they had to shape something out of Play-Doh.
Steve, can I just stop you for 1 second?
Yeah,
Are we all set? Yeah. We've been getting some feedback. It sounds like there's a baseball game going on in the back. I know it was opening day. Yeah. But I think we're all set now. Sorry.
I think the Red Sox lost today, 6-4.
Yeah, all right. Sorry to interrupt you. I apologize.
I just recorded that.
Spoiler alert. It's a long season. I'm just sorry to interrupt. Okay, so we're all good with our sound?
You good?
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the way back to the beginning, Tracy had ran a PLC, and kids had actually made stars, and they talked about the core values. And the first day of school this year, and it was an activity that came from Teach Like a Pirate. So throughout our presentation, we're going to build on what we as a staff have been looking at here, and I'm sure you're familiar with this visual. I'm sure Tracy's shared with you as well. But really, if you look at those 5 main components of social-emotional learning, a lot of those connect right back to our core values. So we actually have some of the exact ones: self-awareness, responsibility, teamwork, which is more around those relationship skills, service to others, which builds in that social awareness and how you're impacting those around you. So we really kind of built off our core values off of those 5 areas. And that's why I think it's important that when we're doing things at North Street, making decisions, that we're basing it off of those 5 core areas, our core values. But then the layers around there, and I know that you've heard it many times, but we can't do what we do every day without the home support that we have and our PTG group, who I'm going to share what they do, which is, I think second to none when it comes to parent-teacher groups in terms of the support they give us, but really supporting the SEL initiative as well. So we're going to share a little bit of that as well. Looking forward to it. But probably the most important group here, our student council. they've actually been really helping us spread a message of how they can show our core values around the school. And so I've brought with me today our president, Owen Opaki, and our vice president, Cooper Often. And they're going to come on up.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I look forward to sharing some of the work our student council has accomplished this year at North Street. My name is Ono Paki, and I am a 6th grader at NSS. I am also the president of the student council. I have with me today Vice President Cooper Often.
Thank you, Owen. I would like to thank you as well as to invite me to present in front of you the work our students have achieved. My name is Cooper Often, and I am currently a 5th grader at North Street in Miss Gilligan's class.
Cooper and I will be sharing 3 actions we have taken that our entire student council is proud of. However, it is not all we've done. First, we will update you on the progress we've made toward increasing recycling in the cafeteria. Be sure to check out the front cover of the latest North Street Star issue when you have a chance.
Second, we would like to share some thoughts on our organization on the Kindness Week of NSS, which took place at the same time as our Change for Change program.
Finally, we will share our Change for Change fundraising efforts.
I am happy to share that the Student Council was able to restart the recycling program in the cafeteria with the support of the newspaper club. Without the recycling program, many cardboard trays and plastic products, for example water bottles, were being thrown away.
Through our students' voice, we heard that this was an issue they wanted to fix. So as student council, we stepped in to make a change based on what we were hearing. It is our goal that students will be more empowered to use the recycling bins to help clean up our school and environment. In January of this year, our teacher leaders, Mr. Adams and Miss Gilligan, approached us with an idea that went along with the school's core values and the message of spreading kindness. We were tasked with creating ways to inform the students and create excitement about the week. Therefore, we created a themed spirit days for the whole week. So we had on Hats Off to Kindness Day, which was Monday. We had Peace, Love, and Kindness, which you had to dress up as like a 60s theme. Then Crazy for Kindness was Crazy Hair Day. Dreaming of Kindness was pajamas. We had to wear pajamas. And Powered by Kindness was to dress up as a superhero or like Patriots.
The results of Kindness Week was that the school became a much kinder place and everyone was becoming more self-aware of their actions towards others. For example, holding doors for each other, complimenting each other, and greeting each other with a positive attitude.
As student council, we decided we want to support local charities, and we were inspired by our Pennies for Patients drive last year. However, this year, we wanted the winning class to pick their own charity. Seeing that our drive last year was so successful, we followed a similar format. We made collection boxes for each classroom, and every few days, we counted the total amount. We asked that students bring what they could, even pennies counted. We made announcements throughout the drive, and our winner was Mrs. Norton's 5th grade class. Together, we collected a total of $3,234 that was all donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation essentially grants kids with severe illnesses and conditions with wishes. Some wishes include trips, visits with sports stars, and new electronics. Miss Norton's class selected Make-A-Wish because they had heard other students receiving these amazing experiences that helped them work through their illness. We were happy to contribute to this worthy cause and support others that are in need.
We thank you again for allowing us to share some of our efforts this year, and we look forward to continuing our work in the future.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. So,
Laura Often.
well, thank you, Cooper, Often. Thank you, Owen and Cooper, for coming and all the work that you both do on your student council. It sounds like you're really engaged and listening to your classmates, which makes for good leaders. I was wondering if there's anything on school committee that we can do to help you achieve some of your efforts.
Actually, yes. The school wants ketchup pumps because the ketchup packets weren't very plastic efficient, and you couldn't even get all the ketchup out of them. So we think that ketchup pumps would be a save of plastic and money.
And since we're like establishing this new recycling program, we want to make like every aspect of the school, mostly lunch, like more greener and more efficient. So, like using ketchup pumps instead of regular ketchup packets, we think would be a better way to like disperse it, I guess.
It's a good idea.
Any other questions?
What was your favorite of the days in that Spirit Week?
Wait, can you go back? Personally, my favorite was pajama day because I didn't have to get out of my pajamas. And it was really nice.
I like Crazy Hair Day because it was just fun to see like all the kids' different like hair and how they dressed up, and it was just kind of funny. I liked it.
That sounds like a lot. Thank you for sharing.
So what are some ideas you have on the horizon for the rest of the year or next year?
So we have a couple petitions going around the school, and some kids, they wanted to change how recess works. Instead of going outside, they think that kids should be allowed to choose if they want to stay inside to do work or just to stay inside. So some kids wanted to do that, so that's one of the things that student council's working on. We're also working on another petition to get a new basketball hoop, as the one we have, it's kind of broken now and the kids can't really use it as much as they could, and they'd really enjoy it if we could get a new one, so we're trying to work on that too.
Also has a double rim, which
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of a double rim, but really hard to shoot apparently.
Student council has a photo to present that was a result of Kindness Week. So it's all the students spelling out kindness. Every grade.
That's really cool.
So this was 6th grade right here, and I think it was each grade.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Each letter's a different grade.
Yep.
That's cool.
Essentially all of the kids at North Street spelling out the different words. Kindness is cool, I think is what it says, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kindness is cool. And then it has 2 hearts.
Oh, nice.
And it was assembled by a second grader in Mrs. Perch's class as well.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Right? Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice,
Nice job.
very nice job.
Any more questions?
I had one more question, if that's okay. My question was, so Owen, you are moving on, right, next year to GMS. And do you both have plans to continue in student government and leadership? Do you think that's something that you would like to continue on?
I'd like to continue it, but I don't know if I want to, I still haven't like figured out if I still want to do it or not, because in middle school, I think there's a lot more work and there's a lot more responsibility and it changes a lot. So I won't know right away. It'll take me some time to figure out. I want to, but
It's a very self-aware thing to
that's
say.
very smart.
That's why never commit to running for president right away.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm moving on to 6th grade next year, and I plan to try and run again. But if things fall through and I just can't, then I won't.
Well, there's always other ways that you can make a difference, right?
yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anya, Tyler, do you have any
I
questions?
support the ketchup pump, so I'll put that out there.
Out there? Well, you have someone else to sign your petition, get his signature. I do have to say, I think the ketchup pump is a novel idea to cut down on waste. I think that was really original thinking, but I can imagine the custodian is dreading the ketchup pump. But you know what? Gonna have to deal with it.
I
So,
heard that also ripping the ketchup was just
Very
as
messy.
messy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Goes everywhere.
When I spoke with some children
See,
at
we're
North Street.
dispelling all those myths right here, right now. So I think your ketchup pump is a good idea.
And the younger kids, if you go to second grade lunch, you'll just be walking around opening ketchup packets.
Right.
Pretty much all
And
lunch.
for those who think that it'll be more ketchup will be used, that's not the case, because students are taking 20 ketchup packets at a time just to eat their chicken nuggets.
Because they want to take them before other people can take
Yeah,
them all.
so it's not gonna use more ketchup.
I see.
And they'll probably buy ketchup in bulk. might save
Yeah.
us money.
Well, good luck with that, and if you need some help with the petition, come back to us and let us know if anything you need from the school committee to help you with this endeavor. I think you got our support.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for coming up, a great presentation tonight, but what's that?
I just want to add to that, one thing that, in the fall, we have a pretty competitive, student council race when the kids run. Every kid that ends up voting, and, the candidates create their own videos, and they share them, and we show them in every class and line meeting, and then the kids actually vote. So these two boys, to be able to get to this point, have put a lot of effort, even just to want to make a difference, but it takes a lot just to even want to do that. And so I really appreciate what you guys
Thank you.
bring to the
Thank
school.
you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Any more questions?
Well, I don't have any questions, but I do have something for you two gentlemen tonight. We have a certificate of appreciation on behalf of the school district we'd like to present to you, so if you'd like to come up here. Owen and Cooper?
Can we get a picture?
Sure. Sure we can. Hold you guys. So, certificate of achievement awarded to Owen Opaki, it's something like Cummings and myself. And you, Mr. Lofton? No, sir. You want to come up here and get a picture with everyone? All right.
Oh, you got, give me your phone. Yep. Yep.
Are you gonna be with Mr. Carlson?
You want a picture with me? Okay.
Open it. Let's see your name.
Same height.
Better, yeah.
All right, guys.
Right.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Take this, yep. Nice job.
Okay.
It's my proudest school committee moment.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow.
That is a
I
tough
know.
one to follow. They all are. Okay, whenever the students come up and present, it was like,
We're all done.
Jay's got to follow them after that too, so don't
Okay.
worry. Yeah. All right, so you want to continue?
Absolutely, yeah. So there are a few other people here that are not speaking today, but really are a major part of our message that we're sharing today. And very happy that Mrs. Segru and Mrs. Perch, Mr. Wall, Mrs. Stewart Nelson is back there as well. And Oryx is on a vacation, or he's on a business trip somewhere, so he couldn't be here today with us. But that is our Student Advisory Council, and we have a lot of great conversations about ideas that we have, and many of the ideas that we're presenting for next year to continue growing have come from this think tank, if you will. That's how I like to look at it, as like a think tank. And then I would certainly be remiss without bringing up this group, and this is really probably the biggest thing that we did last year in order of moving forward with our social-emotional learning at North Street. Was we put together a social-emotional learning team. We put it out there to the whole staff, but we had a representation from a variety of teachers, support staff, special educators, so that we had input from many different groups. And this team has met once, if not twice, a month for the past year, 2 years. Even over the summer, we were fortunate to have a summer learning academy that Tracy helped us organize to help put together resources for teachers to implement our core values and other concepts in the classroom. So this team is really, we're talking, but they don't want to be up here, I don't think. But Bob's saying no.
Excellent from right here.
Come on up. Come on up.
And then, of course, as I mentioned, around that outside circle of the SEL is the community, and that's where largely our parents come in. And Liz, Stacy could not be here today, but so they apologize for not being here, but I'm happy to present for them. What's great about our PTG is that they're not just a bystander on the side. They're right in there in the mix with us, as you can see from these pictures. This was the kickoff to the fun run. They had a whole theme going. That's Stacy on the left, Liz on the right, and Kim St. Hours with the wig in the middle. And so they're right there with us, having fun with the kids, spreading the message that we have, and organizing all kinds of stuff. Jody, you want to talk about Bren?
Sure. So, some of the things that we've done around the periphery are also kind of focusing on social emotional learning. And one of the things is that Bren Bataclan has come in, and I believe he was also at North Grafton Elementary School. And he has created 2 very large murals for us in the school, and they are focused around the core values and kindness. And the beauty of the murals is that the majority of these small pictures that you see all over the wall were all designed by the students, and then Bren just enhanced them. So the kids have taken a lot of pride in seeing their work come to life.
And all made possible by the PTG, of course. You know, that's where they come in. This is a Richmond activity. If you've never met him, I don't know how you can meet him, but he is really just a influential person. And as Jody pointed out, our message to him was that we wanted, again, the core values to come alive somehow in that visual, appealing way. And he did that really easily, and took that and ran with it. And the kids really were the ones that ran with it, because they designed, as Jody said, those pictures. And I just put a few examples up there of them. But come on by. There's one that's based right off of the hallway near the office, and then another one by the art and music room down that hallway, which was a little bleak. We've got rid of some of those old lockers from the middle school years and opened it up a little bit more, made it more colorful.
And then this is showing you Catherine Otashi that came to visit and did assemblies with the kids. And she's the award-winning author of a number of books that really focus on anti-bullying, social emotional learning, and inclusion. And that is, again, when you first walk into North Street, on the right, you see this mural, and that is all of the kids and the staff's hands all put together. And that's based on one of Catherine's books. So we did that early in the year, and that's kind of our unifying message, that everyone has a hand in it.
She was great. She signed a lot of books for kids, and
Sure did.
took time to, I was so impressed. I thought she would just sign her signature. She drew a
my
little
gosh.
picture and took like 3 to 5 minutes with every book to draw like artwork in there. I was really impressed. But she said that, you know, she wants to make sure that they understand that that message is important in her books. And a lot of the books that she has out, Beautiful Hands, 1, 0, 2, we have in every classroom at North Street. It's part of our SEL library that we've built over the last few years with PTG support. So it was wonderful to have her come, because the kids know those texts. They've read them as a whole group before. It was really exciting to meet her. She came all the way from Los Angeles. She does different schools in the area when she travels, but it was very nice having her there. And then, of course, you know, community building. From the beginning of the year all the way through the end of the year, our PTG is getting parents together, getting members of our community into the building. I think it's a wonderful way for me to get to know them as well, different people and what they do in the building, the community. From welcome back picnics and movie nights to, you know, community events, organizing Bravehearts, Railers, Red Sox game trips, Community Reading Day, which I know many of you have participated in before, and then the Spring Fling, which was just a couple of Fridays ago, which I attended, and it was a great time. All the way through to the end of the year when we have fun fair and, you know, other fundraising events as well. And then the most exciting things that we do in Richmond and at the school are assemblies and field trips, and all of those different activities come from, again, the PTG. We wouldn't be able to do those things at the level that we do them at and enhance the curriculum without our support from the parent-teacher group. And there could be 1,000 pictures up there to show the different activities that we've done throughout the year. I picked a sampling to show that, you know, some of those enrichment activities, as well as some of the mini grants, they've been really influential in helping us support technology, specifically the Chromebooks, which have been great in the past few weeks, testing on the MCAS to have those available. It's made a lot easier to do. Flexible seating, and then that picture in the right-hand corner is something really cool. It's called a breakout EDU, and it follows an escape room kind of model, and in the front there's different locks, and the kids have to solve different problems, math problems, or they read a passage and there's a comprehension question or a logic problem they have to solve, which then gives them the clue to unlock the lock and get the next problem or clue. So they work in groups collaboratively. It's really neat. We just got those. Mr. Berman and Miss Gilbert wrote a grant to PTG last fall. So really cool things that are in the works there. All right. So getting back though to SEL, because that's really the main message that we wanted to share this year. And that really, again, that SEL is the plate and everything else comes after it. So our belief is that with a strong social emotional foundation, the academic goals, our academic achievement will increase. That's what our goal is, of course. So back in 2016 or 17, we really had this vision. We were noticing that our SST team, our student support team, most of the kids coming to us were coming to us with a lot of high emotional needs, and not so much an academic need. And we really were wondering why that was. We looked at our SST process, and that's when we really started implementing some of the pieces that were the foundation, our core values, and we did that as a staff together. We selected different core values that we wanted to approach. We did some research on it. We implemented some ways to make the students more connected, and by asking them, how connected they are, and if they are not connected, why not, and what do the teachers do that make them feel more connected. We've compiled that data and shared it at staff meetings and with staff. As I mentioned, we started building more picture books in our classrooms to share those messages. We do stargazers, which is a way to recognize kids who are caught doing these core values and not necessarily, we're not on a stage, but we go to the classroom and share with them exactly what it was that they're nominated, but what they did, again, to reinforce the positive message. Funny story about the girl on the right here. She received one, and she's wearing a shirt that says moonbeams, galaxies, constellations. It was her birthday, and it was my birthday. So I was like, it's like she knew she was getting one. The kids don't know beforehand. You know what I talked about last year?
Sure. So last year the committee worked on a number of things, as we did throughout the school. We established the SocialEmotional Learning team, which we showed you a little bit earlier, which is a multidisciplinary team, which I think has really been beneficial to hear from all the different disciplines. We have created a library of resources for teachers to use around SEL. We had everyone at the school read the Behavior Code by Jessica Minahan, and we did a PLC around that. And the beauty of that book was not only helping people to understand that every behavior has a function, but it provided us all with a common language to use. And that's made it really significant in talking about social emotional learning, that we're all using this common language. Our professional development at the school focused on perseverance and mathematical practices, and that's something that we've been working extensively with the kids on, is how to, hang in there and persevere through these math problems. And we've been doing a lot of surveying of kids throughout the year to see how we're doing with that. So that'll be interesting to look at the end of the year. We created and implemented peer-to-peer interaction surveys, and this was a way for us to kind of find out how kids were treating each other. So it was about how they were feeling, but it was also about what they were observing in the school. And we were also getting feedback from them around how they thought things should be handled, whether it was, a positive interaction or a negative interaction, kind of getting a sense of what they thought in terms of the core values was the proper way to manage it. So that's been really instrumental for us in dealing with
We actually just met again today, right after school, to revise that from last year, based on feedback we got from how long it took kids and some of the data that we collected.
And just as a brief offshoot of that, Steve and I both use the social emotional learning in the discipline that we provide with the kids. We are constantly, when students have done something unexpected, talking to them about the core values. And the one that we like to talk about so much is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. We implemented a sixth grade ambassadors program, which has the sixth graders going into the second grade and providing academic support, emotional support, and it has been such a win-win. It's been great for the older kids and for the younger kids, and they just love it. We have aligned the student council efforts, as Owen and Cooper talked about earlier, to incorporate the core values. And we have created the North Street Star, the newspaper, and that is one more way for us to really promote the values that we're talking about. And it has been stunning to me to see how much the kids are enjoying working on that paper. They are so excited. They talk about it all the time. And that's something that's run by Mrs. Perone. And she's just doing a fabulous job of helping the kids really extend their thinking and create something really impressive.
The kids had left one for you. They referenced it in their talk, but Joey's right. I mean, they take such great pride in this. They go around interviewing us, and they absolutely love it. You can even see at the top there, it says the monthly newspaper for and by students. And largely Mrs. Perone does let them do, where they want to go with it and collect information. They've done surveys before within there, and they talk about movies, and it's really well done. Last year when they created the name of it, I was most proud of was that as they were creating the name, they said it has to be something connected to the core values, and I was like, yes, they get it. So they picked the North Street Star. But Mrs. Perone, yeah, does deserve many thanks. The only other thing that this image, it really belongs on the next slide, but it didn't really fit on the next slide. One of the things that our SEL team worked on over the summer was creating, in last year, but creating consistent positive language around what our core values look like in common areas. And that's not only for the kids, but for our staff as well, to make sure that we are trying to spread a message of positivity, but also making sure that we're saying the same thing to the kids and that we have common expectations. So we created that chart, which is in every classroom, and teachers, when you really break it down by each location and teach them. We created resources to really teach each of those areas. Really this year was our first year of implementing that, but it's really neat how it works for each of those locations, how to walk in the hallways, or arrival and dismissal. There's a slideshow that teachers can show to have a conversation with the kids. It follows responsive classroom techniques, so it's what it shouldn't look like and then what it should look like. My favorite one is walking up and down the stairways. There's a video that goes with each one of them, and we've been, over the year, having our students make them. So there's one where we had students in Mr. Berman's class show us how not to walk up the stairs. It was pretty funny.
They had fun with that.
They wanted to do it in slow motion after the first time, and they had a lot of fun, and then what it does look like. So then that can be shown in every classroom. And again, in a positive way, responsive classroom approach, modeling, so that they can then, hopefully follow through with that. What's nice about the resources we've created is that it's shared Google Docs, so you can go back and reteach it if you need to. We've put together a year-long continuum of, what to talk about and focus on. And at times when we've seen things like, all right, everyone, let's show that video again on how to walk in the hallways, because we're seeing the kids starting to do, not behave in the hallways, or whatever the case might be. I think Kathy said it best today at our SEL meeting, was that we really could have a whole presentation just on all of those resources that we've created over last summer and last year to implement for this year. And I'm sure they'd be happy to come do that.
You already have it, Steve.
Yeah, I know, right, we do, yeah. But again, as I already talked about, it really connected. We really wanted to hold true to that responsive classroom component, so much so that we reached out to, and her name is slipping my mind. Martha Hanley, thank you. We had reached out to Martha Hanley, who is in our building all the time. She just likes to volunteer in our building. We love to have her. If you don't know her, she is the individual who ran the responsive classroom trainings in Grafton for a long time. But now she's retired, but just likes to still come in and volunteer. To make sure that we were not straying too far from RC as we implemented some of those PBIS strategies. We're about to implement year 2 of peer-to-peer interaction surveys. We did a trauma-based training with our staff in a smaller group over last summer. The presenter was Genevieve Kane House, and she's from UMass. She was really, really good. Gave us a lot of wonderful insight into why students with trauma, why they struggle, and to really think about when we're seeing kids struggle, let's try to unpack it and find out why, what's going on outside of school that we're not seeing. And then we, of course, the 5 components, and then those expectations for consistency in language. But as I said, there's so much more that we are doing and could share and go into much more detail in as well. Anything else, Jody, you want to add to that?
That's the second picture of you on the roof. I thought they might be interested in knowing
I
how
had
you
a note
ended
on
up on
that.
the
I
roof.
was like,
Yeah.
Why we?
Yeah, that,
Why?
so
I like
that
the
really,
angle, don't get me wrong, it's great.
From a
Yeah.
risk management perspective, not.
yeah.
Right, right.
So I challenged the kids that if they, during the fun run, the PTG did the fun runs, if they raised enough funds, that I would spend the day on the roof. So as promised, there I am. I greeted them as they came in on the roof. And I was up there most of the day, I'd say.
You were up there a good part of it.
Yeah, I actually found it quite relaxing. I brought a little like chair and desk up there, and I was like, no one's bothering me up here.
We couldn't get them back down.
I actually watched recess from afar, and
The
then-
kids' reactions were so funny.
yeah. On the way out, they actually were commenting that I looked like an elf on the shelf. I'm like, well, I'm always watching. Yeah. There's another fun picture coming up, too, that I threw in here. We did want to dive in just to give you a little insight into some of the data that we collect from those peer-to-peer surveys. So, you want to go first?
So we've got 4 sample questions for you, just so you can get a little feel for it. How many times a week do you see other students encouraging and supporting each other? So it's a question, but it's also sort of planting a seed. And we were really happy with the results. The majority of the kids are saying more than 3 times a week.
And that I was talking about this. I think it's a sign of 2 things. I think it's one that we are encouraging kids to encourage each other, but I also think that it's a sign that kids are coming to us with good values from home, that they know to encourage each other and support each other. So we were happy to see that.
Do you feel the rules are fair at NSS? The majority of the kids do. And most of the time it's to be expected, right? But we were really pleased with these results, and it's critical to us for the kids to feel that they're being treated fairly.
And this one too is reflective for us because it's really, are we messaging the rules fairly? So are we telling the kids and sharing them fairly? Some of the, I think it was this question, the responses as to why they're not fair. It's actually pretty insightful. It maybe is a certain type of game they can't play at recess, or some of the older kids, 4th graders, primarily 5th graders, they'd rather have socialized lunch all the time and things like that. So I think it's insightful for us to see their responses, and I will say they share things that we as adults aren't thinking of that you can then make adjustments and changes. This one here is around the encouragement, asking them how much they think encouraging others is helpful. Bless you. Almost 60% say that when you encourage others, it helps a lot. So again, showing a lot of kids feel that when you're encouraging each other, it helps. Some said it helps a little, but well over 90% are saying that encouraging each other at school helps. And just one more sample question that we asked them: when there is a negative behavior that occurs, what should students do? And this is really one we've talked to the kids about being upstanders and reporting if you see something. And overwhelmingly, the kids said you should tell an adult. And the one in the middle says most of the time, but it should say, stand up for yourself or stand up for others. And then only a couple, kids said do nothing. But overwhelmingly, we're trying to get a sense of what it is. And the kids responded that it depends on what's done. It depends on what the action is. Do you tell an adult or do you just stand up?
We talk a lot, we've introduced the term upstander, and we talk to the kids a lot about that.
A quick question on
Yeah.
that before you go. Just, how many students total took the survey?
We did it with every student. Yep.
And every student responded?
Yeah, every student, grades 2 through 6. Yep. One of the pieces of feedback that we got from the teachers that implemented was for the younger kids. It was a little lengthy and a little wordy, but we do break it down. One of the first questions we ask is what grade they're in, so that when we came at the beginning of the school year, we were able to segregate the data and give it to each grade level for the group of kids they had, so they could specifically look at what their group of kids said about what they're seeing and how they're feeling. We think that's important because it's good to look at the whole school, but then it's good to look at individual grade levels to see what they're seeing and what they're feeling. So this year, our second and third grade survey is going to be slightly different. It's going to be a lot shorter, a little less wordy, more simple language for the kids to understand. And then we also kind of cut down a little bit from 4, 5, 6 to.
Great, thank you.
Is this a survey you just do annually?
Yes, yeah.
And
So,
is it one that you created or
did,
that
yeah.
you pulled from another?
so we did. We looked at a couple different surveys. The state had just come out with theirs that they do for now 4th and 5th graders on the MCAS,
Yeah.
and I think that was one we should be, probably in the future consider using, as if that the state will continue doing that and expanding it. But a lot of the questions, when I had been in Sudbury previously, we had done a similar survey for the kids, and then we used that to base our conversations in morning meeting and, theme for the year at a grade level on the behaviors those kids were reporting. Because one of the questions, which is too lengthy to put in here, is how frequently they see things like name calling or, physical things or, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank.
People criticizing
Yep, spreading
abilities
rumors.
or lack
Yep.
of abilities.
There's a
or-
list of about 10 things, and we ask them, and then from there, if rumors seem to be a huge issue with that group of kids, then we want to spend more time, helping them understand, how to address that and why not to do that, and how to help them through that.
So it's really a little bit of a hybrid. Some of it was sort of borrowed, and a lot of it are things that we
Yeah.
created.
Mhm.
Thanks.
And that brings us to where we want to, go next, and, not only social emotionally, but with other activities that we have as well. So our first goal over the next year, which is really, again, addressing the social emotional learning needs of all students, our SEL team will continue to meet and revise and analyze our.
Just see if we can pair keys up here, some keys. No? Sorry. Thanks, Amy.
Keys? Okay. Revise and analyze really all that we've done. I think we need a year now since we've done so much to really take a snapshot of what it is, the feedback from staff and from, again, our students, and adjust things to refine those resources. We will continue our PD for all staff. One of the things I know you are aware of is that we've included IAs and BLAs this year, which has, I think, helped immensely. On our half days, we usually meet together, and then our IAs and BLAs will go with Jody and do something specific to their needs as well and the needs of their students. We're exploring another SEL book study with Tracy around all learning is social emotional learning. Again, that it fits right into our theme that SEL is the plate. And then our SAC team really has come up with a great idea, and we're kind of in the preliminary stages, but part of our improvement plan is around educating parents around not just SEL, but different topics, social media and different components. And at our last SAC meeting, someone had I don't know who it was, but someone had the idea of, who it was? Was it you, Kathy? All right. So I had the idea of, rather than having parents come to us, using some of the models that Tracy has run with her Twitter book talks, where having parents sign up and we could get them the book, and then it's done remotely with maybe 1 or 2 visits, but then it's not so time consuming on the parents. So we're kind of working out the details, but I think it's a really good concept to try to do with parents. We've never done it. I'm sure it's been done before, but we're really kind of exploring that right now. So if you had any ideas around that or have seen that, Maureen.
I do have an idea.
Yeah.
So one district is going to be doing like Zoom sessions
Mhm.
where they're going to invite other districts, and it's going to be around SEL topics. So I want to jump on board with that district to do the same thing, but we could do it with even, we reach out and then,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do, but I was thinking if we got a bunch of districts on board, then you
Yeah.
could engage the educators in those sessions, maybe bring in an expert, or a lot of us are doing similar books too,
Yep.
and then we could kind of schedule them out,
That's a good
and then
idea.
it would be kind of shared across districts. That's what's in my
Yeah.
head, because I'm borrowing an idea from another district,
Yep.
but
Yep.
when you were talking, that's what I was thinking about, you know.
Yeah, we would
Good
love to be.
expand it.
We'd love to be a part of that, because I think one of the things I hear from parents, and I've asked a lot of parents, when we hold different informational nights, or like Sarah Hanna, and our math teacher in 6th grade, has like a math night once a
Yeah.
month, but it's not well attended, but it's the ones that do attend, like, I learned so much from that, you know. But parents are busy, and I have 2 kids myself, and you know, so I understand that it's a challenge. So we trying to be innovative in how we do that. So we should definitely talk. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Obviously, connected to that, we want to continue to provide high-quality instruction that's differentiated and authentic, aligned to the standards. And for that, really, as we look to next year, I know, along again with Tracy and the district, looking at how we evaluate, you know, assessments for math in our practices as a way for collecting and analyzing student data. We have that ongoing information from our literacy, but we really want to do more on online component in math as well. With literacy, we're moving towards Fontes and Pinnell benchmark assessment system, which I'm very excited about. As teaching 5th grade myself, I think that is going to be a huge piece of what we do moving forward, and it aligns very well to our resources for Title I. And even when you go to Barnes and Nobles and families are looking for a level S book, it will be aligned because it's F&P level S. It's not A to Z level S, which is a chart that you have to use, a correlation chart. So this is going to be very helpful, I think, and the teachers are very excited at North Street about that. Already and ongoing, we've been looking at the social studies standards as well. And then what we're hoping to do next year for STEAM, this has been a piece of our improvement plan for the last few years, is that we do a lot of STEAM activities, but we want to really define them across grades 2 to 6 so that we know what kids will get at each grade level, and almost develop a vertical alignment of that, and then build from there. We do them, but we don't want to overlap them. We don't want kids to have the same STEAM activity from one grade to the next, because our grade levels have really cool ones, but I think it was Amy who mentioned that you just can't do them all. So making sure the kids are exposed to them vertically, and then it's connected, of course, to the curriculum. So I think that's one that we're pretty excited about too. And then this last goal is really around the safe and innovative schools. I've been lucky enough over the last year to work closely with Officer Alves and Jay and Neil Trahan around our safety protocols, and really looking at our school emergency operations plan. There's a lot that goes into that. That's going to be a big piece of sharing that out with staff next year. We have those pieces in place, but really it's just enhancing those. And then, you know, helping spread that throughout the district as well. And then really excited about our, one of the bigger things, which it's a big undertaking, but we've got a lot of movement with it right now, is an outdoor learning classroom, no longer a garden. We've gotten rid of the garden name because I think that is associated with just growing vegetables. We really now are trying to market it as an outdoor learning classroom. So we've partnered, here's a blueprint. We've partnered with the Girl Scouts, and we've written some grants for Grafton Land Trust. We've talked to Tony in the May, but If you can picture the garden space at North Street School, and most of you probably can, right now it's just a pile of mulch with some raised beds and lots of weeds. So that middle section there, that is where there's a big gray circle and then there's a bunch of brown circles there, that actually will become an area of crushed stone and stone dust. And we have a parent who has cut down some really tall pine trees last fall, and they've just been sitting in the yard. They're gonna, cut them for us, and that's gonna become seating for the kids. We're working on trying to find a masonry company that can get us some kind of rock that would be like a natural table to put samples down on. In the front there, on the bottom of the screen, some parents planted some wildflowers that will be coming up this spring. And then there's a lot of milkweed, which apparently attracts monarch butterflies. We had hundreds of monarch butterflies out there last fall. You could see the eggs, the chrysalis. It was really cool. So that area would be more like an observing area for kids. Then there's your sunflowers on one side, and then we're going to keep the garden there, but keep it, try to keep it minimal to those 6 beds so it's more manageable. And the whole idea is that it's not a space where you're going just to take care of a garden, but you could take your class out there. There's a black board behind that stone that would be, we've got some plans for that we're working on as well, to have an outdoor whiteboard, blackboard, and then using some grant money, putting some supplies right inside the door that leads to that area so that there would be clipboards, magnifying glasses, and all you would have to do is grab your class, grab those bins, and then you're out into a classroom essentially that can be used year-round. It doesn't have to be just a garden space. And I think that ties into social-emotional learning, but also, certainly science and technology, engineering, and we're hoping that it becomes a reality, but that's why we've tried to be creative about involving community partners and writing grants so that we can fund it. And we've got some parents that are really helping move that along. So the big piece now is, though, Tony is going to be coming to help level the area that would become stone dust. So he's told me that's going to happen by the end of next week, so keep my fingers crossed. And at North Street, I had to put this picture. This is from the other day. I have one more thing to share after this, but our students have fun, but our teachers do as well. And again, I could put 1,000 pictures up here, but on Pi Day, we, the 5th grade, encouraged the kids to memorize as many digits of pi as they could. The winner, I think, memorized 141 digits.
It was unbelievable.
I have the video. It literally, she sat there for about 5 minutes just reciting the digits in pi. I could not believe it. And the kids who finished in each classroom, they were all up around 100. But the winners got to pie their teacher in the face on Pi Day. And then the overall winner got the pie. That's Leah Calderon. She got to pie me in the face as well. And there's a great action photo there. But to end, we took some video of the kids telling you what the core values are as well, just to kind of wrap things up. And Kathy Perch put this video together, so thanks to Kathy. I don't know if I can enlarge it.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
I think the core values help our school because it makes us stay in order and we get to learn instead of working on social things.
I notice a difference because of core values, that because of them we are able to notice ourselves as learners.
Core values help the school in a way that it helps the school keep it in place and it makes you feel happier and learn more if you're doing the core values. And it also makes your teachers feel happy and it makes you feel like it makes you a better person if you're doing what you're supposed to. Of course, there's usually one rule in every school, and it's treat others the way you want to be treated, and the core values basically says that in a different way. I think they encourage people to be kinder to each other and make us feel safe in this school because everybody's being kind to each other. I think service helps people because it kind of like encourages them to help other people, and other people can be encouraged as well, and then the whole school is encouraged to help other people. Teamwork is everyone doing everything together. Teamwork is people working together and trying to accomplish something. I think teamwork helps our school because it helps people work together and everybody can get along. I set a goal and then I achieved it, and then I worked with the teacher and I made a new one. I had wanted to do something that I couldn't do, like doing long division or multiplication, but I wanted to do it, so I kept working with my teacher and working by myself and seeing what I could do better. And I eventually got there, but it's still not perfect, but I got there. And now I'm doing long division. At North Street, we have a lot of fun games, and we get to play to get better at learning and having fun when you're learning. Responsibility is you should do the right thing when no one is watching. Responsibility is always doing your best first. Remember, if it's not hard, you are not learning. Yes, remember. North Street we use later on in life.
Self-awareness is knowing yourself as learners.
Self-awareness helps you determine what learner you are, like visual learner, hands-on learner, or
You feel safe and you feel like a really nice community. What I like about North Street is that Mr. Wiltshire is very nice.
I don't know, live footage.
What I like at North Street School is the teachers because they're nice.
Nice shameless
I
plug.
feel safer as one because I'm not getting bullied and anyone around me is not getting bullied, and it just makes me feel safer.
I like being an Earth Street Star because everyone is nice to each other.
I think our values, we are more together and as a family here at North Street. The thing that I like most about North Street School is that I always feel safe when I come here. What I like about North Street School is that we can be ourselves and that is okay. North Street Stars, we lead the way!
Nice job.
Yeah. So Kathy snuck in some old footage of me from one of her movies there, I saw.
Oh, I thought that was from high school.
She's just like rubbing her hands back there doing this, like she's going
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, remember that.
I was
That's
saying to
all
myself,
right.
that's a nice little shameless plug there.
There's more, yeah, oh boy. So yeah, so that ends our presentation, but I'd be happy to talk more about
questions,
anything that's in there.
And I just want to also add in closing that the reason we're so excited about SEL is we see it working. It's made tremendous changes in the school in so many ways.
I can say well, that was an excellent presentation, and I took lots of notes, so I can, borrow some of those. But,
Absolutely.
as I do, but in the last few years, when you walk in the building, you can sense the changes, and I don't know if you were there, but when I brought Connor in, and he's just been out a year, and he said, wow, hardly recognize this place, you know, because of all the things that are there, and just like you could sense he was talking about like the signs and the feeling and all that, and we were discussing about how it just really has transformed into this just really awesome place. And you've seen it over the years and from all this hard work behind the scenes, but you feel it when you go in there too. So just kudos to both of you and everyone else who's contributed to that change.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what we were shooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I won't repeat, but I felt the same way because I, was there for the whole transformation, and I think actually it was Mrs. Chagru who suggested Bryn. I can't read my writing,
Yeah.
but Tal, how do you say his last name?
Bataclan.
Yeah. And it's so, I love that he came back this year to do the other hallway. It's just you have to go and see it. It really has transformed the school, and I really wanted to shout out to the PTG because I think a lot of people maybe don't know between South and North. I think North's budget averages around $90,000. I'm sure South is similar, of extra money that goes directly to the schools to help support teachers and student learning. And it's a testament to how much, the parents really work hard and the great programs that are added in. So I know you guys highlighted it, but I don't think people always know exactly how much money in addition is coming to the schools through the work of volunteers and parents, and how appreciative we are of that. And when you were talking about your SEL presentation, which of course I would love to see the whole thing, it's on Google Docs. Is that shareable between Miller Street? Have you crossed?
Yeah, so I have shared pretty much, we have a whole folder of resources, and I've shared that with Joanne.
Great.
A lot of it, of course, like with the stars doesn't apply, but the process
Right.
of it definitely can. And I know that she's been working on some of those pieces too. And I mean, there are a lot of pieces you can just, transform over to, like the resources that we created and things like that. They can make them their own. But yeah, so I know that Joanne has had an SEL goal as well. That's taken from those components.
Yeah, she did. She presented to us
Yeah,
as well, but
okay,
it sounded
yeah,
like
yeah.
just a lot of great work that can
Yep.
be shared across the district. So thank you to the
Yep.
team who did that, and I love to see the old SSE.
Yeah, and I think I even think the middle school this year, because Tracy had been going to the SEL network, right? What was it?
Yes, the statewide network.
The statewide network, and they were talking about the surveys that we've used, especially the connectedness one that we do in the fall. And I know Roseanne and Tim, I shared that with them, and they've done that there too. So. Yeah.
And in seeing the different districts, because I'm also a member of that, as is Maureen, we are really in a good place. We are very far along in terms of SEL programming. A lot of the other districts are just beginning, which is super that so many people are interested in it, but I feel really proud of how far we've come already.
Yeah, I love that you started your presentation by saying that it isn't on the plate, it's the whole plate. We talked about that last week. I had actually said, I was like, I can't wait till this is no longer just kind of like, we have to present about it because it's so ingrained in our, we've come so far and it's so important. And I think the young woman that said, the core values make me feel safe at North Street, to me, just kind of says it all. We used to talk about that on SAC all the time about, do kids feel safe? Because if they don't feel safe, they can't learn.
Right.
And having her say that, I think, is such a testament to you guys. So thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Tyler, Anya, any questions? No? Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Loved seeing the progress. I won't repeat a lot of it. She asked the question I had about the resources, but thanks for telling us that and disclosing and sharing with the community that those resources are shared between all the schools. That's great to hear. Thank you very much for coming in.
I'm happy to talk more, Maureen, if you want to. Absolutely. All
Don't
right.
worry, I know where to find you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Are you staying for windows, or do you get?
I can stay for,
You
I
don't
can
have
stay
to.
for, no, I was planning on staying for the windows, but, you want me to stay here? Yeah.
All right, so next up on our agenda, we have North Street Window Repair Project with Dan. Who's going to present?
Yeah. So I just gave a description of
the goals of the project. So I can go over that and then kind of give an update on where we are at with that. So we were lucky enough to get capital funding to refurbish the windows, which involves trying to reduce the airflow, air leakage in the windows, as well as replace screens with custom screens, and refurbish the windows, any functional problems with any handles or hinges, or so that teachers can use the windows, not afraid bees coming in if the screens aren't working. So they're functional, and then they're keeping the cold out in the winter. So so there's kind of 4 parts to the window project. They started with the sealing, the external on the exterior sealing, caulking around the outside of the windows where it touches the bricks. So they did that in January, completed in January. Then also in February, they were on the inside. February break, they did. So the windows have a vent opening in the top and the bottom. Primarily, we're only using the bottom vent. They did to kind of, they thought for the best case to get the windows airtight, and since we're not using the top windows, seal those shut. So we're not spending money to refurbish the sealant around them, or the handles or the hinges up there. Focus our funds on the bottom vents. So we sealed the top vents, and then they went through, replaced all the weather stripping on every window vent in the bottom, and if there was any issue with hinges or handles, they repaired those, and that was in February. And then just recently, they finished up last week with removing and replacing all the blinds on the windows. So we have all new blinds on every window. On the oldest parts of the buildings, there are.
Actually, they did all of them.
Oh yeah, they did that. Yeah, because there was some, even in the new modulars, people were complaining about glare coming in, so we got all new blinds. And then the final phase, we have custom screens that are on order. So those are set to come in and be installed in May. And they have basically they have a thing that you can open, so you can get through to open the window, so you can get breeze in the summer, and then shut that, so it's, bees can't get in. So I think overall, I'm not sure if there's been any noticed, even when the caulking went in January, about like the environment in the classroom, but I'm assuming teachers are looking forward mostly a lot to those screens.
Yeah, I think it's hard, because they're single pane windows. I think that in the winter time
it's gonna be cold anyway.
It'll be cold. It is what it is. But I think the benefit will come in the summer when they're able to open the windows and open all of them, because they're all functioning.
Yeah.
Rather than half of them are working, or but even the shades themselves, like I sometimes I think I'm the only person that notices these things, but the day they installed the shades, I drove up the next morning and I was like, the windows looks like brand new, because of the fact that there were shades that blinds rather, that were all like uniform across and not just like haphazard. Some are missing them, some are don't work, or so you could actually see that from the outside too. The teachers even commented that it's nice to be able to have control over how much light you let in, because the shades before it was either all light or no light.
Yeah. All or nothing.
So like now with the blinds, you can adjust that, which is definitely made a difference. And I think the screens though will be huge.
So I think I can probably give you another update when the screens go in, but I think we're in good shape. Tony's gonna walk the building next week with all phase, just to kind of check to make sure everything's looking good, check functionality on the windows, and then if they do find anything next week, they could do any touch-ups to when they do the screens in May. But they went through every window again when they did the blinds, so they've now gone through twice on the windows to check to make sure they're working all well. So they should be in good shape. They should all be working. And of course, if you guys find any windows that aren't working, please let us know.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your advocacy for helping to get this project. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
I
right,
did leave a
next up.
book on in front of you too. This was a staff book that we read over the summer. It's a quick little read, but in your free time, right? Lots of free time. You're welcome to have one. We had extra copies.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. All right, next up, we have school committee member reports. Anyone want to begin?
I want to congratulate the whole theater group for the play. Did you guys go? You had to go. It was fantastic.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to go every single night.
Yeah.
I tried to go every single night, and then my mom told me that. She's like, no, you can't see it. I'm like, but I have to. It was so good. Like, oh my, like, I can't even talk about it. It was so good.
And I think, of course they recognized everybody, but part of what made it amazing was not just the sets, but the pit band. It was an actual
live
pit
band,
band, and they
yeah.
were great.
Yeah, they're so
They
good.
were fantastic,
Yeah.
and so that was fun.
Yeah, they were great. It was a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should, we can't get like them to come in and, well, honey, it would
Yeah.
have been fine.
I'm sure that you could ask them. I'm sure they'd be happy to come.
You just want to see it again.
I kind of
That's
do.
right.
I really
Yeah.
do.
I think I saw it some of it got uploaded to YouTube, I saw, so.
Oh,
I'll send you
probably.
the link,
I
but it
mean-
was, I agree.
It was a
Very
lot of
good.
fun. Yeah, it was extremely entertaining.
Like,
start to finish.
the whole, I think, the middle school and the high school, we got to see showcases, so it was like the first 15 minutes of the show, and just from like that, I don't know about anyone else, but like, I was like, no, I'm seeing it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like, I'm seeing all three, and they're like, aren't you gonna get bored? I'm like, no, you can't be bored with this. Like, it was just great.
Anyone said anything else? All right, so now we got a district update from Jay.
Yes, we've obviously touched on the theater program. I wanted to congratulate the GHS robotics team. As you recall, they came and visited with us. They placed 9th in their division at the U.S. Open out in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And I guess they got knocked out in the final 16, but they did absolutely fantastic. The team members were Mike Welch, Ivan Zhu, Ronit Kohli, and Sarah Vaca. So they just did an awesome job, incredibly proud of them. And the only other thing was I put out that we have begun doing our GHS GMS traffic assessment. We had the team out doing traffic counts, talking to people, just checking out how things work or how they don't work yesterday, today, and then again tomorrow. So I'll be keeping you posted.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Future agenda planning. So we've got a couple things I want to give the committee an update on tonight. We're going to have, at our next meeting, CPAC is going to come and give us an update to talk about, there's some new leadership on CPAC this year, which is Special Education Parent Advisory Group, or Council, for those who don't know. And they're going to talk about themselves and about what they're doing, what their advocacy is, and what their plans are. And I heard from a suggestion from someone that perhaps it might be best to also bring them back in earlier in the fall, like maybe in the September timeframe when we're back to school, to kind of give the same presentation because it's a new school year,
Yep.
so on and so forth. So that's something that, if the committee's okay with, we should probably add them to the regular rotation of typical agenda items going forward, and I can work with Jay about incorporating that going forward for other school committee meetings and so on and so forth.
And do they typically, for programming, do they schedule out at the beginning of the year, their meetings for the year and program, or like any offerings, you know, they have someone coming up of like the, you know, parents' right to know. Do
Yeah,
they
so-
usually have the schedule for the year? Do you know?
I don't know.
Or is it just sort of they meet and they come up with the next one?
I guess we can ask on the 23rd.
I think that's a great question to ask. I don't know.
So we can just ask at that next meeting, but
Yeah.
that would be, if they have it, to have them in the whenever they'd be able to share that out, then that way we could communicate out
Yeah.
through us as well. That's the benefit of them doing the beginning of the year, I guess, if they have a schedule in particular.
It'd be nice too, just to sort of, on the back of that comment, to make sure that whatever they are going to present, maybe they send us as a, not necessarily the whole PowerPoint, but a PDF of the PowerPoint.
Right,
Just-
I told them that if they would do that ahead of time for us, just so we could
Yeah.
have it in the packets for the public to have, so they're well aware of
Yeah.
the, you know, they've got some logistics to, you know, to handle
Yeah.
for us before the meeting. But-
It just occurs to me that, and it has been occurring to me for many meetings, that the time for this body to meet would be better used to have fewer infomercials and more discussions of people in general. Like, you're great at doing that, Jay, at sending everything ahead of time. But a lot of times, I mean, to have everybody here, it might be nice if it's ever something like this, so that, I mean, we don't really need to sit for a presentation. What we need is to have the information so that we can then discuss or
Usually do
ask
that. I'm
questions.
confused. So we usually have our information, like, at least it's supposed to be two.
Right, no, but I mean, for people other than, like Jay puts it up very nicely, but it would be nice to have.
I mean, consistently for everybody is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, right? Because I
Yeah.
know there's been sometimes here and there things are, you know, maybe we don't have that presentation, but it might be not the typical,
Right.
I know what you're talking about, but I can only count on one hand how many times that
But
may
like
happen.
you do it really well.
Oh, thanks.
so, Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. And then next up, because of a conflict on May 14th and just logistics, so I'm recommending that the school committee go ahead and approve a Tuesday, April 30th meeting, which will allow us to have the superintendent evaluation. So we're going to add another meeting in April. And then on May 14th, we won't have that meeting because that'll be the Everyday Heroes Award that's being held that Tuesday down at the, it's at the high school. I believe that starts at,
May 14th, don't quote me on it. I can look it up. I thought it was 6:30, but
6:30.
let me check.
I'll get that out to everybody, what the time is. Okay, does anyone else have anything for future agenda planning?
So later start time,
Okay.
presentation. Can we
Yeah.
do it at the April 30th meeting?
So the only thing we have on there is to conclude Jay's superintendent evaluation. There could technically be time. It starts at 7. Usually the evaluation only takes 10, 15 minutes tops. So yeah, we could definitely schedule that and put that on the agenda on the 30th.
And can we just be clear on what that is? So that, from what my understanding is, so there's been a subcommittee, that's been meeting. Not all of us have been to all of those meetings. The committee has not heard, the entire committee has not heard the recommendations from this subcommittee. So they're going to come and present their recommendations to us, and then we will proceed however we proceed. But there will be no decision made on the 30th, obviously. There'll be lots of steps post that.
Correct.
Is that correct in
That is
saying?
correct. It's
is that-
it's just the summary of the committee's work, because their charge was to come up with a recommendation. So their best recommendation and all the process they've gone through is what's gonna be presented on the 30th
Okay,
to
great.
us.
Everyday Heroes does start at 6:30.
Thank you.
Great. And in the future, so I don't know if we could definitely avoid, it's not on you, but avoid Everyday Heroes. I don't know who the person would be to talk to being scheduled on school committee night, because majority of people go, obviously you do, but many of us always go to that event. So I don't know who is the person to communicate. I don't know if that goes, I don't know. I don't know the person.
It has
but-
been shared.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, lucky for us, we have a conference room available to us on the 30th, conference room A, so we will not be meeting up here on the 30th. It will be downstairs in conference room A on the first floor. No, it's conference room A, it's not the selectmen's meeting.
Is that being able to be filmed?
Yes, so the plan is I was gonna work on the logistics about going live with that meeting as well as taped for rebroadcast purposes as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that was just,
And
yeah.
we'll have a screen to present for the,
So you'll have all the monitors
the
in there,
stuff that we
right,
need,
there'll be
right.
multiple monitors, multiple views that people can be able to see the presentation. I would just
Great.
try to avoid to use small print wherever possible, because, like I said, you're looking at a 40 or 50-inch display that's on a wall that's 15, 20 feet away from you.
One more question. I'm not thinking about, I don't know what conference room it is. How many people can fit in that conference room?
Not as many as this one.
Because that might be, if we're doing later start times, there seems to be
Some interest.
There seems to be some interest, so I don't know. I mean, it'll be taped, it'll be live, and we're probably not going to have an active, I doubt we'll have an active discussion. I think it'll just be a presentation for us, but I don't know if people will understand that, so I don't know if we can, how to think about that.
Logistics.
Sorry, Pete, I'm just trying to think everything through.
Do you think that there's enough interest or concern, maybe even, that it would be worth doing something ahead of time in the Grafton News or something, just to sort of not ward off, that's the wrong word, but just to alert people that this is to present information, we're not making major changes, decisions. What's your
Jay,
feel?
do you have a superintendent's letter coming up before?
I can.
I would say the
I
best
certainly
would,
can.
I mean,
Maybe it's to do that, yeah.
you know, I would say through the school community, because that's, you know, those that would be most
Yeah.
interested in
Yep.
perhaps knowing more. And then, again, you know, I think Peter had a great response online that, you know, through Peter as a chair, like if there are questions, just to just keep redirecting between now to the website. We'll be able to put on the website that we're gonna be presenting. That presentation, when complete, once it's up here, is gonna go right onto that website.
Right.
I'm trying to think, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
can
I
do
think
that,
the
for sure.
community, just so
That's
people are
easy.
aware of that, the purpose is for the community to
Right.
share to us, and no big decisions are gonna be made on that day. It's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a lot more work to do,
We
I
have
think,
frequently
after.
asked questions. If people have specific questions that aren't addressed in the FAQ that is listed there, once the presentation's made, then they can, you know, seek out and further questions, and we can respond in the public way on the website. Mr. Connolly?
So that brings me to another question. Given the size of the room and how many people it can see, is this going to be allowed to have an open discussion with people, or is this just, are we just, make me clear that
It's just
the
a
subcommittee is
presentation.
presenting to the school committee, but it's just available for the public to view?
Yep.
And then at some other later time, if the committee decides, they can have a more open, you know, a session that's open to public
Yeah.
comment?
And
Okay.
in the meantime, I would just do the normal, you know, procedures. If people have questions, they can
Yep.
direct it, and then if they are answered in our FAQs, we could direct them, you know, to that. If
Okay.
not, we can add to the FAQs that way, because, you know, a lot of the questions or people ask are generally all the same questions, and I think a lot of, you know, answers will come out of whatever that, one, there'll be the recommendations that are made by the committee.
Okay.
But then whatever, you know, future school committee decides to.
So I think we have to have a statement that kind of, like, to your point, Melissa, that clearly states that, and what the
Yeah, just so that-
expectations are, and that it's not, to Laura's point, you know, we're not planning on taking a vote or decision
It's not
on
a
the
public
30th.
hearing. you
Yeah,
know.
but we're not, it's not that we're ignoring, we're just
No.
getting we have to get the information,
Right.
because not everybody on the committee
Okay.
has heard it. We haven't had a chance to discuss it with each other, we haven't done anything. We've just had a wonderful committee of volunteers who worked very hard, and now they're coming to us with our findings. And I think we did put out on social media that we would let people know what the next step was, so.
All right, so we'll do
yeah.
that. We'll send out a joint message with the superintendent and the school committee on just that, because I'm sure you're gonna wanna share that with your staff as well. I'm sure
Right.
they're
Sure.
eager to know when that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, anything else on future agenda planning? So the next meeting after that would be actually May 28th. So there's gonna be like almost a full month between the 30th and the next meeting. Because we have town meeting on the town elections on the 21st. Sorry, yeah, 21st. So we are not going to be able to have a meeting on that day, so. Is there anything else we need to put in the 30th or the 23rd that you think we need to cover?
I think that's a full plate,
Okay.
right? Got a lot going on.
All right.
Thank you for doing that. I know I was just concerned about the evaluation and.
No, you
But-
brought up a good point logistically, like, if we'd still had the meeting on the 14th, that would have been perfect, right? But
Yeah.
hey, you know, best laid plans, right? So.
Yeah, that's okay. And that's an important
let's-
event,
yeah,
and we
yep.
can figure it out, and,
Yep.
you know, and all the, you know, the evaluation's all public anyway, and so it's all good. I might have been overthinking it, which,
You brought up a good point the last meeting. Okay, if there isn't anything else, let's move on to approval of minutes, please.
I'd like to, Pete,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 26, 2019 as presented.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Declare the motion carried. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a warrant. We have warrant number 41.
Peter?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant number 41 dated April 11th, 2019 for a total of $407,521.64.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? The motion passed 301. Okay. We are going to skip over policy tonight per the request of the subcommittee. I don't have any public correspondence to share, but I do have a reason to go into executive session. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something? Oh.
No, I'm just listening.
She's an active listener.
I got the motion like, no, I have something, I'm sorry, I just wasn't looking up and paying attention, so it wasn't the fact. So I do have we do have to go into executive session tonight to discuss the contract union negotiations, so I need someone to read in
Yeah.
the motion for me, please.
Peter, I move to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and to reconvene an open session for the purposes of adjournment.
All right, I have a motion made to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll go into executive session by roll call.
Melissa Nazon, aye.
Maureen, yes.
Laura, yes.
Peter, yes. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll only be reconvening in public for the purposes of adjournment. Have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.